locate very well. She's not going to blow it by anyone, but she also doesn't put people on base via the walk. She's only given up one free base in her last 14 innings pitched to contact. She's going to have to let that defense play behind her.
The youngster, a big moment. You're exactly right. 4-0 on the year with a 3.08 ERA. And for Arkansas to start things off, it's their everyday top of the lineup, Reagan Johnson. She's a tough out every time.
Reagan Johnson, so good at the top of the lineup for Arkansas. She is the table setter. And the team as a whole, the Razorbacks top 10 in the country, playing arguably their best softball of the season at just the right time.
I feel like things started for them. They picked up a big win on the road in that series against Florida. Might have started a little bit earlier in that weekend series with Tennessee, but certainly momentum built after that big win against the Gators down in Gainesville. Nearly swept that series, and they've been on a tear ever since. Johnson, a 384 average. Tone setter for this Razorback lineup. Falls behind 1 and 2, so Crowder jumping ahead. You doing exactly what you talked about, Dorian. She's throwing strikes.
Crowder really locating on that outer part of the plate. The left side of this Bears defense is the stronger side, so watch for Crowder to try and push Arkansas to put it on the ground towards the left.
She's certainly pitching to that outside. Johnson with a great take. Doesn't expand the strike zone.
I like that decision, though, by Crowder. She got the call on the outside corner. As a pitcher, your very next move, you go back, you move it out about a ball, see if you can entice Johnson to swing.
Chopper left side, one hop. Young the throw, and they got her. That's a tough out. Johnson with speed, but Maddie Young flashing the leather.
A tough out that Maddie Young makes look routine as she retires Johnson. And anytime that you can keep Johnson off the base paths as a defense, that makes your job a little bit easier.
No question about that. So Johnson grounds out 6-3 to begin the ball game. It's Reagan Kramer and then Bree Ellis. Ella McDowell, the freshman third baseman for Arkansas, will bat if anyone reaches.
And you mentioned Bree Ellis there in the 3 spot. One of the major reasons why it's important to keep Reagan Johnson off of the bases is you want Bree Ellis, if you're an opposing team, to come up without anybody on the bases for her to drive in.
That's right. I mean, you look at her numbers, 20 home runs, 60 runs driven in. That's some elite production. But when you face hitters like Johnson and Kramer, they get on a lot of the times. Their OBP keeps on climbing, it seems. That's what's allowed Ellis partially to have the season that she's had in terms of production.
Reagan Kramer, one of the best in Arkansas history in terms of strike zone recognition. Very similar to Hannah McEwen in that respect, the former Razorback. Kramer has a great knowledge. You'll see her here really take or expand the zone as needed.
Crowder tries to go up and away. A good take once more. But you're right. You can already tell Crowder's idea trying to pitch away. She did that to Johnson on a 1-2 count. Same thing there. That one sailed a little bit.
Also, when you're facing a pitcher with a slower velo, that ball on the outer part of the plate is going to be harder to pull. You have to stay disciplined.
That time tries to go down and away. Good take from Kramer to run the count to 3 balls and 2 strikes.
And Reagan Kramer, you're more often than not going to get her to expand the zone, so Crowder going to have to live near the plate here.
Kramer chops this to the first baseman. Caitlin Graham steps on the bag, quickly 2 gone, and Crowder, the freshman, with a good start. But she's not out of the woods yet to begin. The nation's best hitter, Bree Ellis, about to step in.
The number, I called the game on Friday, the series opener against South Carolina, and I said during that broadcast, the number that I think gets overlooked in terms of Bree Ellis, she came into last weekend 10 strikeouts total on the season.
That's crazy for a hitter to have the power that she has.
Exactly.
To not strike out very often. And that's through 95 at-bats. Bree Ellis hitting .484, 20 home runs, 60 RBIs. Got to be careful.
Well, the thing for Ellis is she's been seeing a lot fewer hittable pitches as of late. That's the byproduct of having the kind of season that she has. But Ellis, very disciplined. She knows her role. She'll take a walk. She'll take a hit by pitch. She wants to do whatever she can to extend innings, give her teammates opportunities.
To have a hitter, and you already alluded to the fact that she doesn't strike out but has so much power, to be as disciplined and selective as she is with the power, it's unheard of.
It's very rare. Oftentimes you'll see batters be somewhat anxious.
Foul ball ripped off the glove of Kylie Griffin, diving. That was smoked.
Smoked and not foul by very much. Kylie Griffin, they call her Zoomy, loves to have fun over there at third base.
She does. Never a dull moment for Griffin at third. So now it's 2-2 to Bree Ellis. Lucy Crowder retired the first two on ground balls. Tries to go low with that pitch. The drop, and it's full.
Back-to-back 3-2 counts for Lucy Crowder. The issue here is that Ella McDowell hitting behind Ellis. She's been on a tear lately.
The payoff to Bree Ellis. That one's drilled. Got under it a ton, though. Graham's got plenty of room, and Lucy Crowder, a 1-2-3 frame to begin. The Razorbacks come up empty in their first chance at the plate. UCA coming to bat after this. To lead things off for Central Arkansas, Kylie Griffin, Maddie Young, and Addie Graham as Griffin swings at the first pitch out of the zone. Good movement from Burnham to get ahead 0-1. Kylie Griffin, a 385 hitter. 1 home run, 18 runs driven in. Not known for her power, known for her speed. That's been the biggest thing for her. Her OBP's at 426, and when she gets on, she can apply a little bit of pressure. Much like Reagan Johnson for Arkansas. That one slapped foul down the left field line.
And you took the words right out of my mouth, because I was going to say that Kylie Griffin very similar to Reagan Johnson in that respect in terms of being able to apply pressure on the opposing defense. That's what UCA likes to do.
Slapped once again from Kylie Griffin, and that's a hitter in Griffin who is very tough to get out, but also to strike out.
Oh, we were just talking about Bree Ellis in the top of the first inning in terms of only 10 strikeouts in 95 plate appearances. Kylie Griffin, 5 strikeouts. That's 22nd in the country in terms of toughest to strike out.
Yeah. Hits that one right back through the box. A leadoff single for Kylie Griffin, and she starts things off for the Bears.
Big offensive start for Central Arkansas as Griffin gets right on top of it, pushes it through the turf infield. Turf is something to pay attention to, because here at Natalie Schock Stadium, this entire field is turf. It's going to play a little bit faster than traditional dirt, and you saw there that allowed the ground ball to really scoot through the infield.
I think we saw that on Maddie Young's play in the top of this inning. She had to field that all and throw in one motion to get Johnson with speed and execute it to perfection.
When you play and practice on turf so often, you get a little bit more familiar. It also gives you truer hops on those high choppers that we see out of the slappers.
Young hits that one off the end of the bat to the left side. Rijo is there. And that's the first out of the inning. Burnham settling in. You always like to get that as a pitcher, get that out. You give up a single. That was a good job by Griffin to battle to get something that she could do some damage with. But then Burnham bounces back and gets a tough hitter in Maddie Young.
And Griffin had a tough outing against Robin Heron when these two played last month. Struck out to bookend the game. To start it off for UCA was also the final out. The only game all year where she's K'd twice.
That says something. So you're right. A good response from Griffin. Addie Graham, the freshman from Tennessee, standing in. A 381 hitter from that left side.
And something unique about the Central Arkansas lineup is they recruit lefty heavy. That is something they specifically do. It's very unique. They like to really bother opposing pitchers with that.
I think it's all about small ball naturally, but putting pressure on the opposition. Now, Arkansas leads the country in fielding percentage, so defense not going to be a problem, but it's about the circle, getting in the head of the pitchers. Graham fouls that one away.
It was a little bit interesting because in that series opener against South Carolina, Arkansas had some fielding issues. It wasn't miscues in terms of errors, but the Gamecocks were able to apply pressure. They put runners in motion early. They got 2 early runs. The Razorbacks defense just looked a little bit out of sorts.
Good pitch from Burnham. Paints the outer black, and Addie Graham strikes out looking.
That's a beautiful pitch there by Burnham right on the outside corner. Freezes Graham. You see that curveball, that late breaking movement. It's a thing of beauty.
Home plate umpire Robert Johnson started the chainsaw. Our umpiring crew, it's Theron Scott's over at first base, and Big Easy, Jermaine O'Gwen, patrolling things down the third base line. He's behind the second base bag currently. You talked about that Arkansas series in game 1. It was 2 leadoff hitters getting on via the free pass. That's what kind of caused some problems Heron labored a little bit in that opening game, but was able to find her groove. And I think you had the call. You talked about how she seemed to start settling in there in that third and fourth inning.
And got a pair of back-to-back strikeouts. Of course, it always helps when your offense can put up 10 unanswered runs to give you some run support.
No, I guarantee you there's not a pitcher out there that says, hey, I'm going to give you a lead. Do you like that? They're never going to tell you, nah,
no pitcher in the history of softball has ever said, no, I don't like a lead.
Burnham, after giving up a leadoff single to Kylie Griffin, got Maddie Young on one pitch to pop out, struck out Addie Graham looking, and she's ahead in the count on Caitlin Graham, the Bear first baseman. 2-2, ripped into right field. Griffin's going to head to third. The throw is late. A big swing by another freshman, Caitlin Graham, and there's runners at the corners.
This is such a big offensive moment for Central Arkansas. The Bears are not a team that puts up runs like Arkansas does. Graham just gets a ball on the inner half of the plate. She opens up that front side early, gets the barrel through contact. Kylie Griffin, never a hesitation. Kayla Lucas was sending her first to third all the way.
Her speed on display. It'll be the first right-handed batter that Burnham will face in the form of Lily Hood. The Whitehall, Arkansas product transfer from UTSA. 321 hitter. Leads the team with 29 driven in. Anxious to see how Burnham comes back here. She's faced 4 straight lefties. Now she's facing a right-hander. And we got time called before the pitch was delivered. So they're going to wave off that pitch. It'll remain 0-1. There was a loose softball down on the first baseline that looks like hitting coach DJ Gasso went and corralled it. So they'll run it back. 0-1 from Peyton Burnham to Lily Hood. And Burnham asking for time once again. Now she's back in and ready. It's a really good pitch. Didn't miss by a lot to run the count to 1-1.
You can see Kennedy Miller asking where it is and indicating that it was just a little bit out. I like that decision, though. That's a tough one, trying to force Hood to expand the zone. See if you can get a call as well.
Hood with a big swing and a miss. Burnham pulled the string, and Hood was out in front.
It's not just the fact that Burnham pulled the string. It's the movement, because that ball changed speeds. It also changed planes. So as a hitter, when you're trying to adjust to both, it's incredibly difficult.
That is a plus situation for the pitcher. And now Burnham's ahead. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hood's going to have to protect. A chance to give UCA the lead. Burnham trying to close the door. And Hood was able to hold up on the check swing.
That's a tough take from Hood. Good idea by Burnham to try and climb the ladder, get the swinging strikeout. Oh, I think it's the right call, but it was close.
That was very, very close. 2-2. Fouled outside of third.
Good hands over there by third base coach Kayla Lucas.
That was impressive.
That makes sense. She works with the defense.
No better coach to do it, right? Another 2-2. Up and away. Burnham, a good idea. Tried to get Hood. The eye level was down. Tried to raise it a little bit. 3 balls, 2 strikes now.
A 3-2 runner on first, and Graham will be in motion.
That one extended just a little bit outside from Burnham. So now the bases are juiced for UCA, and Emma Robertson, the DP, stepping in.
A tough at bat there for Lily Hood. You go back to that check swing, how important that was, and as a hitter to stay disciplined in big moments, that really kind of shows the growth of Hood over the course of her career.
Yeah, really nice discipline there. Didn't try to help out Burnham a ton. Robertson hitting .233. This is just her 10th start of the season. If you're Burnham, you're laboring a little bit. If there's a hitter you want to try to attack, it's a hitter that hasn't had a ton of starts, although Robertson's been hitting it well of recent. Got to be careful. No place to put Robertson either. A cut and a miss on that one, dipping low.
Bottom just falling out there on the drop from Burnham. She's got great down movement. You've seen it now with her hard stuff and the off speed as well.
Robertson's only had 30 at-bats on the year. 4 long balls in those 30 at-bats, but she'll have to work from behind now as she's in the hole 1 and 2.
And Robertson needs to be more disciplined. That whole front side is just falling out. She's not letting the ball track all the way into the zone where it's clearly a ball.
That's a good take there, though. Burnham with a pitcher's pitch. Just missed the outside edge. And that wasn't meant to be a strike necessarily anyway.
That was meant to be a chase pitch, 100%.
Base is full of Bears. Burnham trying to work into and out of trouble. Robertson trying to deliver. Swing and a miss. Burnham with the strikeout. Threw strikes, got outs, got some help from her defense, and pitched pretty well.
1-2-3 inning for Crowder to start things off. Not a lot of opportunities for Crowder in the circle so far this year. She met the moment in the first inning, and once you settle in, you have to carry that over, and that's easier said than done against this Razorback offense that is so tough top to bottom.
Yeah, you got to be careful. Just because you got through the first doesn't mean it's going to be easier. Crowder tried to nibble out her edge, but a good take from Ella McDowell, who's hitting .390 on the year. You talk about a tough hitter to strike out as well. McDowell's one of those with only 6.
And it was McDowell that had the big hit against South Carolina, had a bases-clearing double that pushed the Razorbacks in front.
Was so disciplined at the plate as well, has drawn a 3-1 count. These are big as a hitter because you get to dig in. If it's close where you want it, you can swing away.
And for all the conversation about Ellis, you've got McDowell, Wyckoff, and Day with plenty of power coming up next.
Good location from Lucy. Crowder goes out her half, gets the call. Wasn't McDowell's pitch to swing at. We got a full count. 3-2, chopped to short. Young with a nice hop. Smooth throw to first, and the leadoff batter's gone in the second.
This left half of the defense, we just saw the defensive alignment for Central Arkansas is McDowell tops it. That's an easy field and throw for Maddie Young. Central Arkansas missed her last year. She missed all of last year with a left knee injury. But Young and Kylie Griffin over at third, they're roommates, they're best friends. They work so well in tandem that almost anything over to the left side of the field is going to get knocked down and kept on the infield.
Yeah, you're not going to have very many teams that have the third baseman's a 2024 Atlantic Sun Defensive Player of the Year. The shortstop's the 2023 Defensive Player of the Year. 2 DPOYs on the left side of the infield. That's unreal. There's Kaylee Wyckoff with the bases empty. Wyckoff, a .320 hitter. Started and played in all 40 games this year, now 41. 4 home runs, 32 driven in. This is an Arkansas team in terms of offense, very good. 26th in the country with a .333 team batting average. And Wyckoff hits that one sharply up the middle. Going to be a tough play from L.J. Smith, and Wyckoff beats it out for an infield single.
It's a right call to call that an infield single for Kaylee Wyckoff, but what a play over at second base by L.J. Smith. You won't see it there. Wyckoff running well. Razorbacks in business, their first base runner of the afternoon.
And you got the 6-hole hitter Courtney Day getting set to step in. One of the best 6-hole hitters you're going to find in all of the country. The DP for Arkansas hitting .309. But she's second on the team with 12 long balls. She's had 4 multi-homer games this year, 48 driven in. Courtney Day, a resurgence. A transfer from Ole Miss, previous Texas. She's part of that 2022 Women's College World Series all-tournament team.
And Courtney Day, a very similar story to Shanice Dels when Shanice Dels transferred to Arkansas from Tulsa. Day coming in after having the multiple other stops. Kind of rediscovered her love for the sport in Fayetteville.
Yeah. And I think a lot of testament that is to Coach Deifel, right? She cares about the player, but also the person, and getting the most out of her players. And certainly Courtney Day having a monumental year. A little bit overshadowed by Bree Ellis in her year, but Day's, I mean, that's numbers you'll take every day of the week.
One of the reasons that Bree Ellis has been able to have the season that she's having is because for the majority of this season, Courtney Day has been hitting behind her and protecting her.
That's a really good point there. That one's hit sharply up the middle. Young, the scoop, the stab at second, and the throw to first for the 6-3 double play to end the inning. Maddie Young, the nation's best in terms of fielding percentage. Maya January leading things off for Central Arkansas, pops it away foul. She's in the hole now 0-2. It's 7, 8, and 9 due up for Central Arkansas here in the bottom of the second. Bears put the bases loaded in the bottom of the first, but were unable to capitalize. Big swing and a miss. Bottom falls out of that one. Burnham strikes out January on 3 pitches for out number 1.
And credit Burnham for being able to hold Central Arkansas off of the board in the top of the first inning. She did it with pitches just like that. The bottom completely falling out of the drop ball. January swings right over top of it. That drop ball has been on since the jump for Peyton Burnham.
Her 3rd strikeout of the game. Make it 60 Ks on the year for the freshman right-hander from Eugene, Oregon.
And Burnham really evenly split for the most part between flyouts, groundouts, and strikeouts. She mixes well, doesn't try to overpower opposing hitters. She really trusts the defense playing behind her.
Anytime you've got a pitcher that can mix things up, in a game of milliseconds for a hitter, all it takes is just a little bit having you off balance is the difference between a sharply hit ball or no contact at all. L.J. Smith behind 0-2. Burnham struck out January on 3 pitches. This one's fouled away. Nice job from L.J. Smith to battle at the plate. Bear second baseman who made a nice play at second earlier on the infield single to Wyckoff. Not the only play you could make to even have a chance at getting the speedy Wyckoff. 0-2. Line drive to left field, coming on and sliding in as Reagan Kramer hit sharply, but Kramer's defense takes that hit away.
A really solid play out here by Reagan Kramer. Look at the jump that she gets, full tilt. I love how she keeps her chest in front of that ball as she's going to slide in. It was high enough off of the ground that it never really looked in question, but on the off chance she had missed it, she was going to block it right back in front and keep it to a single.
That's right. That was very, very smooth from Reagan Kramer. So it'll be all up to Autumn Vessier, the Bear 9-hole hitter, catcher for Central Arkansas. She's been a mainstay back there, the junior from Greenwell Springs, Louisiana. More for her offense. Her defense is good, don't get me wrong, but Coach Parsons has been looking for some offensive production from her catcher, and Vessier only hitting .231, but that's been an uptick over here of the last handful of games. Burnham trying to work quickly. The biggest difference in this inning for Burnham is getting ahead. She fell behind a few hitters in that first inning. Give the top of the lineup credit for UCA, but get ahead this inning.
Yeah, all 3 batters she's faced here in this inning, she's been able to get ahead 0-2, and that just gives you so many options as a pitcher.
Burnham doesn't need a whole lot of options, right? If you're a hitter, you don't want to give her that luxury.
Not with the off speed and the drop ball that we've already seen her utilize, especially on an 0-2 count. If I'm a batter in that situation, I'm expecting something that's going to be drop or low and out.
I'm not going to be able to get a big swing on there. It was. Drop ball goes low, 1-2. And that's, I think, what Burnham is so good at is she's got a couple of out pitches. You know, some hitters or some pitchers might have one that they lean on. She's kind of got a handful of options, but it helps when you get ahead. 1-2, swing and a miss. Peyton Burnham. A 1-2-3. Natalia Rijo. That's also one, if you elect to review it from that angle, I don't know that would be enough to overturn anything. So probably a good call for Coach Parsons to let that one be.
And that's my belief, because Kayla Lucas loves to ask to review. So
right.
if UCA is not challenging, that to me indicates that they didn't think there would be enough evidence to overturn, even if the call on the field was not correct, which I'm not saying it wasn't.
Sure.
Just not going to be enough video evidence.
And likely Graham at first would have been calling for the review. Hey, I touched the bag. We didn't see a lot of that. Carly Davison standing in now with a runner aboard. Nobody out. The leadoff single for Natalia Rijo. 7-8-9.
Listen, as a fielder, if I thought the call was wrong, I was never quiet about it. So
I find that hard to believe, Dorian.
No, you don't.
The 1-2 pitch to Davison. Nice location from Crowder, but a better take for the Razorback second baseman. Davison, a .255 average, 3 long balls. Rips that one past the third baseman, Griffin, into left field. Back-to-back singles for Arkansas, and they're in business in the third.
Razorbacks moving station to station. This one hit sharply by Davison. Gets on top of a ball on the inner part of the plate. You have to hit it really well to get it past Griffin over at third base. And the little balls. We talk so much about the long ball in softball. It's become so offensive over the course of the last decade, but you can do a lot of damage just going base to base.
How big was that first at bat for Rijo to get on base, right? It was close, regardless, but you get on base, puts pressure on Crowder, Davison with another single, and now you got to be careful to Kennedy Miller.
And it all goes back to how important it was for Central Arkansas to not score in the bottom of the first inning. All of those things, as bunt is shown and pulled back, all of those things compound over the course of 7 innings.
It's the little things. I think across all sports, when you have fans or coaches, they don't pinpoint a lot of times on one play at the end of the game. It's a lot of small things that add up. It may be frustrating in the moment, but in this sport, left on base will kill you as a coach. I think that's likely one of the biggest frustrations as a coach, when you leave runners on and you don't execute on opportunities when you get them.
Well, it goes beyond that. It's not just left on base. It's left on base in scoring position.
2-1 hitters count to Kennedy Miller. Freshman All-American last year. Lays down a good bunt. Griffin only play will be at first, so the sacrifice hit for Miller does the job. And it flips things over now for Reagan Johnson.
Such a good job by Kennedy Miller. Any young players watching, that is a perfectly executed sacrifice. Miller squared early. She caught the top half of the ball, made it so that Griffin's only option was to go to first, advancing both runners into scoring position.
Now Reagan Johnson, who grounded out to short her first time up, a prime RBI opportunity as the infield's in all the way around for UCA.
And especially turning that lineup over, I will get on my soapbox for hours about the need to know how to sacrifice bunt.
It's shocking how you look at the counterpart sport, baseball, softball, both. Bunting is sometimes a lost art across the
A lot
sports.
of coaches don't even like to sacrifice anymore because their attitude is, why am I going to give away an out for free when I've got a batter that can hit a double?
That's part of the game shifting a little bit too. Johnson can't connect on that one, moving down and away. Crowder, a nice job. She's first time really facing some trouble is Crowder. See how she responds. Johnson trying to protect. Similar pitch to the one previous. That one maybe a little further down and away, and Johnson takes.
It's a really tough matchup to have Johnson in the box in this situation because she can hurt you in such a variety of ways. You have to make a split-second decision if she puts the ball in play.
She does put it in play. In no man's land, it's ruled a fair ball at the moment. If it stands, it's 1-0 Arkansas. They're going to confer between the umpiring crew here.
Oh, Maddie Young, there was no break from the left side of the infield for Central Arkansas. Is this ball, that's going to be really tough to tell. The fact that it's kicking up the sand around the plate, see, that to me looks like a fair ball all the way.
Yeah.
It's coming out. You see the spray. It doesn't appear to hit Johnson. It just misses that left arm as she's coming through the box. I think this call stands. I think it's an infield single and an RBI. That is a great ball by Reagan Johnson.
And to add to that, even if you knew that ball was fair, if you're UCA, you're not getting Johnson at first base.
No, the only play there would have been to come home.
Yep.
And Rijo, who's running well, knows what Johnson's capable of. As soon as you see that ball hop, if you're a Rijo on third base, you're taking off. Force Central Arkansas to make a play.
So they're going to call Reagan Johnson out. Did it hit her?
I didn't see anything in that replay that would have indicated a hit batter. I didn't look.
Or did she step out of the box?
Unless she stepped out of the box. So pay attention to the left foot. It's moving forward. It's right there. It's just over top of the line when she comes and makes contact with the ball. It's that margin. She is just ready. It's a good look right there. You circle that left foot. She's angled out across the box. So that was the point of contention. Not whether or not the ball came off of the plate. It was that Johnson was out of the box. That is the correct call. It will force. Oh, they called it a, because they signaled for an out. Johnson currently still standing over by the plate, and they have not sent Rijo back to third base.
On On a dead ball like that, should go back second and third, 2 outs, right?
So there's the left foot. It's coming across the box. Making contact. That should be a dead ball out.
So runners go back to second and third.
Should be.
2 outs, second and third. Regardless, it's a tough break for Arkansas. We'll see how they figure this out.
Well, Robert Johnson came out and indicated that it was an out. He clenched his hand and made the signal for out. And we have a prolonged discussion as now Courtney Day. We went to have a review.
So they're going to go take a look at it. That ball may have hit her right there, too. I don't know. Certainly the foot was out, so you have that call.
Okay, so they have asked to see whether or not this ball hit her in the box as well. So if it hits Johnson in the box, it's a foul ball regardless.
Yeah, that's right. So there you have it.
So after all of that, they're going to rule this a foul ball that it hit Johnson while she was still in the box. Now Rijo will come back to third. No runs scored. And it will keep Johnson at the plate.
It'll be 1 out. So after it looked like Arkansas was going to be on the opposite side of that, they get to redo it with a 2-ball, 2-strike count. And now it's full.
Oh, what a swing, because initially it was an infield single with a run scoring. Then it was an out.
Yeah.
Now it's a do-over.
There was a lot going on in that whole sequence. Thankful for Dorian to help figure it out. 3-2 chop right side. That'll do a job. L.J. Smith, that was a lot closer at first. But a nice job from L.J. Smith. Johnson does the job, an RBI on the ground out, and Arkansas is up 1-0.
Now Reagan Johnson doing her job, pulls it to the right side of the field again, forcing Smith to her only option over at first base. An easy RBI ground out again. Station to station softball.
It's a big job too. I think that's where Coach Deifel loves to see production from her team, right? The small ball pays off. You get the bunt from your 9-hole hitter, Kennedy Miller. Johnson with new life produces with a ground ball out. You got a chance to drive it another now with Reagan Kramer stepping in. Kramer 0 for 1 today, grounded out to Caitlin Graham at first base back in the first inning. 333 hitter coming in, has a hitter's count against Lucy Crowder. It takes the low strike.
Especially with a hitter like Kramer, 2-0. You see her asking where it was. You know, 2-0, if it's not my perfect pitch, especially with a runner on, I'm not going after it.
That produces a lot of ground balls, and if it's not where you don't want it, don't swing. Kramer fouls that one away. Now it's even.
Still a hitter's count, though. I love to go after 2-2 counts because you know a pitcher doesn't want to run you full. So a lot of times on 2-2, you're going to get something good to hit.
Yeah. Crowder gave up 1 run, trying to end it there. The comebacker, throw to first base, and Crowder works into a little bit of trouble, gives up 1 run. The Razorbacks lead it 1-0 after 2.5. State of Arkansas as well in terms of softball.
Griffin takes the first pitch high, and Courtney Deifel was asked about her journey prior to the start of the South Carolina season and talked about the vision and getting people to come and believe in what she and her staff were doing in Fayetteville. Arkansas was at the bottom of the conference when Coach Deifel took over, but they stayed the course. They found the people that fit the program, and she really pointed, did Coach Deifel, to former Arkansas and former SEC Pitcher of the Year, Autumn Storms, as being kind of the linchpin changing moment. Storms came in, had that grittiness, that edge. Mary half followed her, so then they had a 1-2 punch in the circle. And you and I were talking before the broadcast, that was the difference for UCA back in 2023 when they swept Arkansas. They had the 1-2 punch in Jordan Johnson and Kayla Beaver in the circle.
That's for 2 phenomenal names etched in Central Arkansas history. The bunt from Griffin, but a nice play from Ella McDowell over at third base. And the freshman takes a hit away.
Little third-on-third crime over there. McDowell saying, anything you can do, I can do better. Charges this bunt. Gets it with both hands, still over to first in time to get the Speedy Griffin.
Nice job from Davis in covering the bag at first base also. Maddie Young steps in. You go back to Coach Deifel and the players and that she's had. There's a lot of players, young players in this part of the state that take lessons from Reagan Johnson, from Autumn Busick now. Was Autumn Russell, third baseman for Arkansas back in the day. And there's a few that take lessons from Central Arkansas and their players. Kylie Griffin, Maddie Young.
The growth of the sport and the young girls that are now interested in the sport is one of the reasons why this game is so important. It does so much to raise the profile of softball in the state of Arkansas. This state was late getting to fast pitch softball. They still played slow pitch until the 2000s. And so especially to have the homegrown talent, Hannah Gamble, of course, held down the hot corner for Arkansas for years, and just from BB, and just, players you can fall in love with.
Another glove by the third baseman, McDowell. She's a vacuum over there at third base. A smooth play on the left side of the infield, and two are gone.
And McDowell, a little bit different, same result. Ranges to the glove side, one step, quick throw. Hoover's the best thing you can be over there at third base.
And McDowell, one of the best freshmen in the country. She was rated by Extra Innings Softball as the third best player in the whole 2024 class. Best infielder in the class. They're from Richmond, Texas.
Arkansas had a tremendous recruiting class coming into the 2024 season, and you need it now, top to bottom in the SEC. It's so difficult this year with the entry of Texas and Oklahoma into the conference. Pretty much it's winning the national championship is winning the conference.
That's right. And for Arkansas, they've never made it past the Super Regionals. They lost to Texas 2 out of 3 a handful of years back. 0-2 to Graham's fouled away. And that's their goal. Make it to Oklahoma City. Get there, and hey, they feel like they've got a good offensive unit. Pitching with Robin Herring is there. They've got some good options out of the pen also, but they're looking a little bit more consistency. Chopper to first. Ellis steps on the bag, and another 1-2-3 inning for Peyton Berna. Find their footing now. They did win 2 of 3 against Bellarmine. Bree Ellis ropes that one fair and into the left field corner, and she's going to leg it out for a stand-up double.
And no doubt about that stand-up double for Ellis to start. Watch this chalk. Just lands right on the line. That was clearly in fair play. Roped it into the corner, and Ellis getting things started. Doesn't always have to hit the long ball. She has so much power, so patient at the plate, lets that ball travel deep and just shoots it right down that left field line.
Bree Ellis said, hey, I can bat lead off. No problem. Ella McDowell standing in. The cleanup hitter for Arkansas grounded out to short her first time up. Crowder had been getting ahead of some hitters, at least with some, control at times, good placement, but Ellis, the leadoff double. Now Crowder is going to try to figure out how to locate. That one's in there, inside corner against McDowell. I think that's going to be important for Crowder when she does face adversity to still find the strike zone.
I think Crowder, for the most part in this game, has done a good job nibbling. She hasn't brought it too close over the plate that Arkansas has been able to do damage. That double there from Ellis, the hardest hit ball of the night for the Razorbacks.
It was a well-placed pitch from Crowder, too. That one laced into center field, base knock. Graham's got an arm out there in center, throws it straight home, and that allows Ella McDowell to head into second. So the single takes second on the throw. Arkansas's in business again.
Elevated ball is the easiest kind for a hitter to hit. McDowell keeps the barrel high, drives it out. Great job, though, by Addie Graham out in center field. You talk about a cannon. That ball one-hopping into Vessier behind the plate, but I love the aggressive base running by McDowell. There was never a doubt that she was going to second, and now Arkansas, again, 2 runners in scoring position.
That's the small ball part of it, too. Very high IQ. Wyckoff, first pitch, base hit, center field. Graham with a good arm, throws home. It gets away from the cutoff of Maddie Young. That allows Wyckoff to head to second. An RBI single, and Arkansas is up 2-0.
Wyckoff going hunting. First pitch, sat up a little too close to belt high. Wyckoff going right after it. I love the aggressive take. And Arkansas, this is where they're starting to find their rhythm. They forced Jenny Parsons to come out into the circle here at Natalie Schock Stadium. And one of the things in talking to Courtney Deifel, when you talk to her about her offense, she wants them to make adjustments quickly, not just inning to inning or at bat to at bat, pitch to pitch. And what I've seen from Ellis, McDowell, and Wyckoff here to start the fourth inning is they are going first pitch hunting early in the count and going after really good balls.
And knowing that Crowder wants to try to get ahead, nibbles well, but sometimes can leave it over the plate a little too much. 3 straight hits to begin the fourth inning for Arkansas. It's the second time now through the lineup, and Courtney Day steps in with a chance to do some more damage for Arkansas. The 10th ranked Razorbacks lead it 2-0. They got a run an inning ago, and they've added another here in the fourth.
Well, the Razorbacks have the potential to hang crooked numbers. They scored 10 unanswered in that series opener against South Carolina after falling behind 2-0 early on.
And to have an offense like that can get going at the blink of an eye, that's what makes them dangerous. They've got the pitching staff to boot.
And JB, you know as well as I do, hitting's contagious.
It absolutely is. That one is crushed to left field down the line. Hood's going back up against the fence, makes a nice catch, but it's a deep sacrifice fly for Courtney Day. Production from the 6-hole hitter, and it's 3-0.
Courtney Day missed a 3-run homer by half a foot. This ball is absolutely drilled. Again, though, it's an elevated ball that's the difference, and Arkansas is taking those balls that are in the upper third of the zone and driving them. Day got a great barrel on that, did her job, sac fly.
Here's Italia Rio. She scored the first run of the game last inning when she led off the third with a single. That was that play where she grounded to the right side. It caromed off Graham's glove at first. Smith at second got it, tried to recover when the throw to first, but Rijo's speed was too much and pops this one up. Should end the inning. Maddie Young's going backpedaling on the backside. Just his second out of the inning. Pardon me. But Rijo is unable to bring home the run. It'll be all up to Carly Davison.
Yeah, that time Rio just getting a little bit out in front. That's where Crowder is doing her best, taking that velo, keeping the ball down in the zone. Arkansas, we saw them do it early on. They got out a little bit in front, caused some pop-ups, some grounders on the infield.
Davison loops that left field. Hood dives but can't get there. It drops in for Davison. A 2-out double and another run scores.
It's such a tough play for Lily Hood out in left field. Did her best, was coming on full steam, just couldn't get enough of the edge of the glove underneath. Davison, this one's off the end of the bat. She was out in front. Just one of those tweener balls that's in the right place as a hitter that makes things tough on your defense.
That really was a nice effort from Lily Hood. Fully extended. Would have been an SC top 10 type of play if she was able to corral it. And now Kennedy Miller, the 7th hitter of the inning, stands in. A chance still for Arkansas to add to it. Here's another look at that diving attempt.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Central Arkansas, this is Hood's ball. That's too far out in the outfield for Young to have a play on it. Nearly got there.
Wow.
Maybe just the only thing she could have done is Griffin gloves it and throws it over to third, has turned the glove the other way, but the damage is done. Razorbacks plate 3 in the inning. They lead 4-0. We head to the home half of the fourth. The Bears trailing.
Welcome back to Natalie Schock Stadium. I'm JB Brazil alongside ACC champion Dorian Kraft. Glad you're with us. We're from Conway, Arkansas. Good in-state battle. Second time this year, Arkansas and UCA have faced off on the softball diamond. Peyton Burnham has been ran into a little bit of trouble in the bottom of the first when UCA loaded the bases. But she has faced the minimum ever since. 7 straight have been retired by the freshman righty as Caitlin Graham fouls that one away.
And the big issue for Central Arkansas is this is not a team in terms of their offense that's built to erase large deficits. Now, 4 is still manageable if you're the Bears, but if it gets any bigger, that could be problematic, and it's because of Central Arkansas's tendency to play small ball, go station to station. They're not going to get a lot of runs back at one time with doubles in the gap or home runs.
Strike 3 called. Caitlin Graham caught looking, and Burnham with some precision on the strikeout.
Well, when you strike out looking, it's also hard to erase deficits. Again, Burnham, Peyton the corner with the curveball. She hasn't had to utilize it that much, but she's used it against lefties. That ball tailing away, that's a great 0-2 pitch.
Really, it's a pitcher's pitch. If you get the call, great. If you swing in your Graham, you're not going to be able to do much with that. Now Lily Hood takes his strike, so 4 straight strikes to begin the 4th for Peyton Burnham. And to your point about UCA playing the small ball, when you've got pitchers like Jordan Johnson, Kayla Beaver, you could live with that luxury a little bit. But right now, they're just trying to find, and UCA is who I'm talking about, some consistency in the circle. Because Coach Parsons said the talent and the pedigree is there. It's figuring out how do they string together long outings.
Yeah, the issue for Central Arkansas has been inside the circle, as another swing and miss, as this time Burnham climbs the ladder. But when you take a look at Central Arkansas's pitching staff, and you're kind of seeing the dichotomy with Burnham going up against Crowder, but as a whole, that rise ball just climbing. Central Arkansas staff with an ERA of 5.85 on the season. Yeah. It's tough to win games that way.
Puts pressure, too, for your offense to try to maybe expand things, so then you fall behind, and we're seeing a couple of strikeouts already.
And you already referenced Jordan Johnson and Kayla Beaver during that 2023 season. They had the lowest ERA in the country. Wow. Of 0.12.
That's crazy.
I mean, the ERA was minuscule, and that Bears team only averaged a 1.5 runs a game.
Boy, can you imagine the offense that if they had an offense, maybe even this year, because this year's doing some damage offensively compared to that year's offense. No knock on that team by any means.
Well,
but the pitching was what was really phenomenal.
It's one of the things that for any team, regardless of how you play in the regular season, becomes important in the postseason. Because as my old hitting coach used to say, you cannot win games nothing to something. You have to be able to score runs if you want to win games.
That was a UCA team that lost in the Tuscaloosa Regional to Middle Tennessee State. They won against LIU. That one's crushed foul down the left field line from Robertson. Trying to straighten that one out.
And just ran into a Blue Raiders team that was red hot when the Bears met them. Of course, Central Arkansas was picked to perhaps be the sleeper coming out against Montana Fouts. That Tuscaloosa Regional is 3 straight strikeouts here in the 4th.
They will take the baton. This is their 3rd outing against SEC opponents this year. LSU in their 1st outing of the season, then Ole Miss, now Arkansas. Big moment for the sophomore from Troy.
And you talk about getting meaningful reps as a player. It doesn't get more meaningful than that, getting the majority of your time against really solid SEC programs.
First pitch against Johnson, going to have to be quick from L.J. Smith, and a nice play at second to retire Johnson to begin the inning.
It's all about the transfer here for Smith. You can see she's in her momentum. She's already, as soon as she fields that ball, she's bringing it back to throw. That allows her to get all the force behind it as she goes to make the throw over to first base, and that's the difference between Johnson being safe and out.
That's a nice play for the freshman from Edmond, Oklahoma. Lily Hood had been the everyday second baseman for UCA. And then about the 3rd of the way through the season, L.J. Smith inserted defensively at second. She's been a huge bright spot for UCA. Reagan Kramer takes a strike on the outer portion of the plate.
Mary Kate Brown held down that second baseman spot so long for UCA. They really had to kind of mix and match last year. They didn't have a defensive alignment that they loved, and again, a lot of that was due to Maddie Young not being available. But L.J. Smith filling in nicely.
There's a bloop to left field. Hood, plenty of room this time. Makes the catch. And how about Peyton Engelman? A nice start out of the pen. Retires the first 2 hitters. But here's the nation's best, Bree Ellis, coming in. And here's what's impressive about Bree Ellis. The OPS, a 1.89. That means, essentially, per at-bat, she averages almost 2 bases every single at-bat.
Well, right now, Bree Ellis is on pace to have the highest OPS ever recorded since the stat started being kept in 2016. The person currently holding the record is Jocelyn Allo.
Yeah. Who won National Player of the Year twice.
Oh, just, yeah, no big deal.
No big deal. Bri Ellis with a 2-0 count. The OPS, that's where you add the on-base percentage plus the slugging percentage, and what that really essentially tells you is how often you get on base.
You want to explain that to Bri, because she tweeted out earlier this week. She goes, "That's fun. I still don't know what that stat means."
Oh, that's great. It means you get on base a lot, averaging almost a double basically per at bat. That's insane.
Listen, I didn't need statistics to tell me that about Bri Ellis. I can just watch and know that she is a capable hitter. But I will say, what's impressed me about Central Arkansas is in this game is their willingness to go after Ellis, because she got walked a ton at Florida. Tim Walton would not throw to her in significant situations, and South Carolina was willing to walk her as well.
That one's drilled deep left, and it's gone for Bri Ellis. 21 on the year, and Ellis does it again.
That's the downside of deciding to throw to Bri Ellis. She is so strong. That ball was down in the zone, full extension, barreled it up. That was a no-doubter off of the bat. That wasn't a great ball to hit out of the park,
No.
but Bri Ellis is a good bad ball hitter, and it puts the Razorbacks up 5.
You've seen Bri Ellis hit balls that are in the opposite batter's box, pull side, mind you, and out of here by plenty. That was a pitcher's pitch, and she took advantage.
Courtney Deifel was actually telling a story about that when they played at Auburn, when Ellis was the SEC Freshman of the Year. Mary Half threw a changeup halfway into the left-hander's batter's box that Ellis still took out of the park.
That's unbelievable. The season that Bri Ellis is having is historic. Again, the way she's hitting the ball as McDowell drives this one to center field, playable for Graham to end the inning, but Bri Ellis.
Schedule, they go on the road at Texas A&M, who has the highest RPI in the country, and then round things out at home against LSU.
Wyckoff leads off the inning, a blister to right field, and she leads off the 6th with a base knocked to right.
It's been a good day for Kaylee Wyckoff. 3 for 3, turns on the ball on the inside part of the plate. And I like the approach from the Razorbacks. We had the long ball from Bri Ellis in the top of the 5th inning, but for the most part, they're not trying to do too much. They're making solid contact, getting the ball through the gaps, and just giving what the UCA staff has been giving them.
Courtney Day, well out in front of this first pitch, pushes it foul. But you're right. You know, Arkansas has been very disciplined at the plate, very selective. And even after, you know, Crowder started off retiring, the first 6 batters faced the minimum for the first 2 innings. They stayed the course, and now they've driven the ball a little bit.
You said aggressive, and I think it's selectively aggressive, because there's a difference between being overly aggressive and being the correct amount. It's a yes, yes, no philosophy. So when you're in that mindset as a hitter, you are always looking to hunt.
And it's all about getting into scenarios like this for Courtney Day. You talked about you love 2-1 counts. Courtney Day loves 2-1 counts. She's looking for a pitch to drive here, knowing that likely Ingleman's got to come in.
Technically, I said I love 2-2 counts, but
That's
2-1
right,
will take it.
You're a little more risky battling with 2 strikes. Courtney Day drives that one into center field. Graham backing up, now comes in, makes the snag. Day gives it a ride, but the ballpark holds it.
Good response there from Ingeman. And, you know, as much as we talked about Burnham having the opportunity to learn and grow, same thing can be said for Peyton Ingeman.
Yeah.
UCA has been working throughout the entire season to find the right mix of arms as they get closer to the A-Sun tournament. And that's really what this midweek matchup is about for both sides, is fine-tuning before they step back into their respective conferences.
These midweeks always mean something in terms of, you know, getting certain players playing time, whether it's pitchers or whatever, but you're exactly right. Conference play is really all that matters for the most part. Getting prepared for that. A nice jump from Ingeman. Gets ahead of Atalia Rijo, 0-2.
First 0-2 count that any Razorback hitter has faced so far today.
That's hard to believe, isn't it?
Not really. From the way that we've seen them go after pitches, I'm not that surprised.
And they haven't struck out yet tonight for that very reason. But, you know, you go back to that first 2 innings whenever Crowder got ahead. She had a lot of 1-2 counts, but never got the strikeout.
Not really a strikeout style pitcher. Neither is Peyton Ingeman.
No, pitch to contact. That one pulled foul. Rijo out in front a little bit.
And the most important thing for pitchers like Crowder and Ingeman, if you're not going to blow batters away with your velo, it means that you have to hit your spots.
Absolutely.
Because if you're not getting that up in the upper 60s, low 70s, and mid 60s even, if you don't have the movement and you don't have the velocity and you just sit it there in the middle, it's going to be a long day.
That's right. You got to avoid the barrels. That one's chopped right side. L.J. Smith trying to glove and flip all in one motion, and it scoots out of the glove. That's likely going to be an error.
In my opinion, that should be an error. You know, Smith had enough time to collect and toss. Wyckoff does run well, but tried to just be a little fancy about it. Didn't have to glove flip. And it keeps the inning alive for the Razorbacks.
Would have been the second out if they got the lead runner at first. Carly Davison now standing in. Davison's 2 for 2 with a double and a single out of that 8 spot. And that's likely a moment. Freshman L.J. Smith, Coach Parsons will maybe a learning moment for her there to just get the sure out, at least get one. Good teams like Arkansas will make you pay.
Yeah, really for L.J. Smith, what happens in that situation is you have Wyckoff running. You pick your head up at the last second just to see how much time you have. And so when you come up, your entire body comes up. That pulls the glove up and keeps the ball on the turf.
And that's what allowed base runner to reach. Davison, another hit, right field. They're going to pump the brakes for Wyckoff at third base. Davison, a 3-hit day also. She and Wyckoff are tearing up the softball.
And again, they're not big hits. These are singles. Outer part of the plate, that is so good. Davison lets that ball travel deep, gets it off of the back hip, opposite field hitting. That is really where you see younger hitters. When they can go oppo with power and not try to pull or do too much, that indicates to me that they are very mature in their approach at the plate.
To be able to spray the ball across the field, you're right. Going opposite field certainly tough because you don't have a lot of time to decide, but going with the pitch, nice job from Davis, and that's the reason she's 3 for 3 today. Seeing the ball very well. Kennedy Miller 0 for 1 today with a sacrifice back in the third.
It's been a tough season for Kennedy Miller, freshman All-American last year. Hasn't had the offensive numbers that she did, but has been swinging the bat later. She picked up 2 hits in the win against North Florida, swung it well against South Carolina.
And she'll have a hitter's count now to do some damage.
When I was in a hitting slump, I always tried to walk at least once per game because if I could see pitches and recognize the zone, I felt that I was in a better space instead of just guessing and swinging and missing.
Because then it can really start snowballing. Chopper foul there. Now it's 2-2. And it's tough as a hitter. You know, when you're a good hitter, certainly, and you start getting in slumps, you feel like you're doing everything right. You don't know what to change because you're not sure why you're not hitting.
And that's when you start to press a little bit, and it can really be a vicious cycle.
It is such a mental game in the circle and at the plate. 2-2. Same result from Kennedy Miller out front. But a nice job to battle against Ingeman.
Exactly the right word there is battle. That's your job as Kennedy Miller in this situation. 2-2 count, bases loaded, less than 1 out. You want to battle. This ball needs to be on the ground hard or deep enough into the outfield that you can get Wyckoff to tag and score.
Ingeman, another big pitch. Strike 3 called on Kennedy Miller. Ingeman paints the inside corner.
That is such a big pitch from Peyton Ingeman, running it in on the hands of Kennedy Miller to catch her looking with the bases loaded. Out on their front foot and swinging over top of the drop ball.
Well, if you're Central Arkansas, it's a tall task. You trail 5-0. Burnham is in quite the groove. But if you're going to make some noise, this is the time to do it for UCA. Top of the lineup, Kylie Griffin, who's 1 for 2 today.
This was the part of the lineup that started off the game so strong for Central Arkansas. It was Griffin that singled. They got a 2-out single from Caitlin Graham, then a walk by Lily Hood. Had the bases loaded, they had the momentum, but could not push a run across.
And you alluded to that earlier in the game, how big that first inning was for UCA to not scratch anything across. you never know what could happen. You don't apply pressure to Burnham, and she's been rock solid ever since.
Ultimately, I think Arkansas's offense is too powerful. But again, for UCA, you get those early runs. It's not just about the lead. It's about confidence. It's about striking first, and there's a lot to be said for that.
Griffin, base knock to right field. A wide turn at first base, but a leadoff single, her second of the day. That's UCA's first base runner since the first inning. Burnham had retired 13 straight.
Well, Griffin can hurt you in a variety of ways. A little party over at first base. Plays a lot of small ball. And again, we can compare her to Reagan Kramer, but Griffin can also slap. She can drag. She can punch it through. She's got a lot of different weapons at the plate.
She's got a great tool set. Offensively, defensively as well. Maddie Young trying to get something going. She's 0 for 2 today. Dorian, you were ready for that pop fly. Came our way.
Well, there is a roof, so I'm not making any spectacular plays over here, but I got you, partner. You were an infielder too, weren't you?
I was, yeah.
Yeah, so we're the good hands team over here.
But I give way, right? That one smoked down the left field line, but just fouled by a whisker. Tried to go opposite field, did Young. Now she'll have to battle. Yeah, you were locked down over at third base. I was a middle infielder.
Okay.
You did play third, correct?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Well, then I might get the higher number. If I'm short, I'm 6, right? So 6 over 5. How does that work for you guys? Is that how y'all did it?
Same thing. Yep.
Yeah. Young fouls off another. I'd still probably give way to you, though.
Well, you know, I had some good range to the glove side, so.
Young is battling at the dish, but Burnham's trying to put her away. Another 0-2. That one's popped up on the infield. McDowell immediately calling everybody off behind the circle. She makes the catch for the first out.
As much as I loved watching Hannah Gamble play third, I also love Ella McDowell. She's got a little extra edge that Gamble did not have. They're two very different style players, but they are so solid over at third base. I just love the confidence, the swagger that McDowell has, especially for a young player.
Yeah, she's a freshman. That play right there previous immediately called everybody off. Everyone at Natalie Sock Stadium could hear her call that one off.
Exactly what you're supposed to be doing.
McDowell certainly plays above her age, if you will. Just a freshman, but certainly doesn't seem like it. Having a phenomenal year. Hattie Graham standing in 0 for 2 today. Bears center fielder, she's got a rocket of an arm out in center field. She's been held off the base paths today. Graham's going to have to protect Burnham. Rips his second. What a play. Davison to second for 1, and they can't turn it. But what a snag at second from Carly Davison.
That got me up out of my seat here in the booth. Davison, look at this grab. Just the short hop and the confidence. Nice little flip over to second base. Addie Graham runs well, but man, what a grab there at second from Davison.
Graham made a bid for a single, but Davison in the right spot. That was about as smooth as it gets. Quick scoop, the flip all in one motion. That's about the only way you have a chance of doubling up Graham, and they still couldn't do it. Her speed was on display. It's all up to Caitlin Graham. If UCA is going to do anything in the 6th, that's that defense for Arkansas. Tops in the country in fielding percentage. You see why.
I mean, when you have your fielders make plays like that behind you as a pitcher, it gives you so much confidence.
I don't know what the exit velo was on that, but it was up there. We didn't have TrackMan. 108, 110, 120.
I mean, you want to talk about a hot shot. That looked like a seeing eye single coming off of the bat, and Davison's just like, nope, I got you.
No problems at all. And Burnham has not needed much help at all, as she has been electric in the circle. UCA, their best inning to put contact on ball. They've done that. But Arkansas's defense has been on display. Graham rips that left side. Reagan Kramer over. Beautiful facility up there on the hill. But this whole series has been great. Started back in 2021. Again, you were on the call with Brett Dolan in that very first, the inaugural game between these two schools. Played on this field, Ferris Field. Now at Natalie Schuck Stadium. Reagan Kramer rolls over that one to first base. It's the first out of the inning. But this has been so good for the state in the sport of softball. Coach Deifel talked about earlier in the year. Now there's kids playing catch in her neighborhood. Something that you really didn't see not too long ago.
Yeah, she said all the little girls in her neighborhood when she got here a decade ago, they were playing soccer, they were playing volleyball, and now they're playing softball. And that's really what it is. You know, I remember growing up and watching, you know, college softball wasn't on television. We didn't have ESPN Plus. You got to see collegiate softball when it, you know, was the College World Series. That was the only time before it went to a 3-game series, by the way. It was still a one-off. And I remember watching Lisa Fernandez and Dot Richardson and just Michelle Smith, some of the greats that really built the foundation of this game, and we've seen it over the course of the last 2.5 decades, and it's just so gratifying to see what these women are able to do now, the exposure that they're getting.
Well, and you also add a player like Bri Ellis. I mean, how many young athletes look up to her and the seasons that she's had? Certainly within the four corners of this state, but across the country, she's got fans everywhere. Bri Ellis, been a huge advocate as well for the sport that she loves. Had a great career at Auburn. She's having an incredible career here now at Arkansas.
Active Division I home runs leader, adding to that total today.
That's right. She has 21 now on this season, which is just one behind Megan Grant at UCLA. But she does have the most home runs per game, as she's played 4 fewer games than Grant on the year. If you're Ingeman, you got to be careful. Already given up. A long ball to Ellis today has UCA, and she nibbles too far outside. And Bri Ellis, her 42nd free pass issued this season.
And for Ellis, it's a sign of respect because you're that good. It can be frustrating sometimes as a hitter, but Ellis taking it in stride. It's been such a good pickup for Courtney Deifel. And we talked about the recruiting class, but Coach Deifel has had the ability to bring in some super high-quality transfers over the course of the last handful of seasons.
It's about building a program that entices very good talent to come and play for your program. She's built something.
The nice thing is she doesn't have to talk them into the vision anymore. You build it, they will come.
That's right. I see what you're referencing there. That's just the first walk, by the way, of the game by UCA. That comes to Bri Ellis. Who else? It wasn't intentional by any means, but Bri Ellis has that effect, doesn't she?
Well, that's a big move forward for Central Arkansas versus what we saw when these two teams met in Fayetteville last month.
McDowell ropes that one to left field. Pull side swing through the 6-hole. And 2 aboard now for Arkansas.
Man, McDowell so quick to contact. Again, getting a ball that she can handle, that she can drive. She has been on fire at the plate as of late. As a batter, sometimes you just see the ball big, and that's where Ella McDowell is right now.
So we'll have a pinch runner over at second base. Casey Wood, the sophomore from Bentonville, former Tiger at Bentonville High School. That's a good program up there in the northwest part of the state.
Excellent program.
Morgan Nelson, former UCA first baseman, a Bentonville High School graduate. Here's Kaylee Wyckoff with 3 for 3 day, trying to add to it with ducks on the pond at first and second. Courtney Day is looming. Peyton Engelman gets the outside corner for the strike. That pitch has been there. Wyckoff today, 3 straight singles in the 2nd, 4th, and 6th innings. Transfer from Texas Tech. Talk about one of those transfers as well. There's been a lot. Pull side smoked foul, and someone just got a souvenir down the right field line.
Oh, you're not allowed to keep them. You have to throw them back.
Well, then you just maybe take a picture, a selfie with it, and then throw it back. So you got something to remember by.
Sure.
know, back in the day, you could go turn that in and maybe get a snow cone.
That sounds so good.
Wyckoff goes down and tries to get that one. That was well out of the zone. I don't know how she got bat on ball, but she fouls it away.
I was watching the pitch. I wasn't watching the runner. May have been a Arkansas doesn't run very often, so I don't think that was a hit and run situation because it looked like a hit and run protection type swing.
Well, when you're 3 for 3, that softball looks like a balloon out there or a beach ball. 1-2 to Wyckoff. Pop to left. Lily Hood comes in near the gap. Snatches that one for out number 2.
Right now, if you're Central Arkansas, the most important thing is to keep these runners from scoring, get back into the dugouts, try to go to work on offense in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Five runs is going to be tough to come by. You don't want to make it more than that.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Central Arkansas has their work cut out for them, but you cannot allow the deficit to grow.
All things considered, it's been a nice afternoon for UCA's pitching. They go with 2 youngsters. Lucy Crowder started, pitched well, gave up 4 earned runs through 4 innings, and now Peyton Ingeman, not half bad, only a run through an inning and 2/3 now. Courtney Day rips that one left field. That one's one hop in the wall. It's going to clear the bases. They'll wave home McDowell. She'll score without a throw. One big swing from Courtney Day, and it's a 2-run double.
Swings like that are what makes this Arkansas offense so dangerous. Day gets a ball middle in part of the plate. She clears the front side. That allows for solid barrel contact. She keeps it on the plane for a long time and then gets that nice, good extension that allows her to drive the ball out to the left field fences. I almost hit you in the face with my extension here in the booth.
That's a good swing there, partner.
Thank you.
So Ramsey Walker will go pinch run over at second base. For Courtney Day, she gets a well-deserved rest. Ramsey Walker, the freshman from Shreveport, Louisiana. I could tell your follow-through there. That you were going yard.
Never a doubt.
Natalia Rijo stands in. Runner at second, 2 gone. Courtney Day now with 51 runs driven in. She came in to the contest sitting at 38th in the country in run production. That'll uptick a little further. When you got 2 powerful hitters, but also productive hitters, and I'm singling in on Ellis and Courtney Day. There's others that are certainly, but
I was going to say, I think
huge,
you're selling Ella McDowell a little short there.
She said, don't put some respect on my name there. Now, McDowell's had a great season. Freshman comes in with 42 runs driven in, 3rd best on the team. We got a foul tip called against Rio. So Natalia Rijo with a 2-1 count. Plate umpire saying 1-1, but Coach Diefel and the gang, they think it's 2-1, and I think they're right. It's 2-1. I said 2-1, so for my sake, I hope. No.
It was 2-1. That last one, foul tip off of the bat, then off the glove.
Still a hitter's count, though, for Rijo. She's had a good game. Reached base twice. Had a single in the 3rd inning. Scored the game's first run. And able to hold up on that off-speed down and away.
What always strikes me in watching Arkansas is that they are so disciplined at the plate for the most part. We saw that little flail by Wyckoff earlier, but typically they're taking strong hacks.
Rio smokes that to center, but Addie Graham on her horse makes the catch and ends the frame, but not before Arkansas adds 2 on the double from Courtney Day. Bears have their work cut out.
They want to force UCA to keep the ball in the yard. Don't get multiple runs back on a big swing.
That's exactly right. It'll be 5, 6, and 7 for UCA. Lily Hood, Emma Robertson scheduled due up, as well as Maya January in the 7 hole. Lexi King misses a little bit on that one. Now it's 1-1. A lot of young arms for Arkansas, but good arms. We've seen that throughout. But Robin Heron, the lefty, has been the mainstay in this circle. That's where it starts for them. It's that second arm that they're looking, and it may be a by committee thing down the stretch when you get deeper into postseason. Wood chops that foul outside third. McDowell in hot pursuit. Now it's 2-2.
It certainly feels like a by committee situation for Central Arkansas, to some effect for the Razorbacks as well, beyond Robin Heron. But again, at this point in the season, we saw the upcoming schedules. There's not a lot of games left before you get to the conference tournaments. Arkansas going to be in the NCAA tournament regardless. UCA's only path would be to win the A-Sun, and to do that, yes, you need to be able to put up runs, but you also have to start in the circle. And if it's by committee, then it's by committee, and you have to buy into that.
You got to find a way, whatever it takes. Arkansas comes in with the 5th-ranked best RPI. They're in, as you mentioned. A walk to Lily Hood, though. That's just the second free pass given up by Arkansas pitching. The Bears 84th in RPI, so you're right, outside that at-large bid conversation. So they will have to really work their way through the conference tournament. Emma Robertson stands in now 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts, swinging in the first, looking in the fourth. And swings and misses at the first offer from Lexi King. Lexi King's 3-1 on the year with a 2.92 ERA, just 12 innings pitched though. So smaller sample size for the righty. Robertson goes opposite field.
Oh,
what a
wow.
snag in right field. That was Ramsey Walker defensively in right field, and she takes extra bases away from Emma Robertson.
Oh, this is absolute robbery. Look at Walker stay on that ball all the way. She got a great first jump and a big smile out there in right field. Well deserved to haul that in.
The freshman making big plays. That's what it's all about. First pitch to January saws her off. Here's another look at that really nice job in right field from Ramsey Walker. That had extra bases written all over it, full extension over the shoulder. Wow.
It's all about the angle in the outfield when you're able to track down balls like that, because if you take one wrong step, that ball is going to get past you. And so that's understanding as an outfielder how the ball is coming off of the bat, reading the trajectory and the spin, knowing that that ball's on the outer half of the plate. And so off a right-handed batter, it's going to tail a little bit as well.
That's a good read. Robertson went opposite field. Nice piece of hitting, mind you, from Robertson. But a better defensive play from a substitution out in right field. That's the kind of defense that Coach Deifel's got.
That's the reason why Arkansas the best in the country in terms of fielding.
That's right, that's right. It's a 2-1 count to January, now 2-2 as that one finds the zone.
I was going to quote Arkansas at 972, which isn't bad. That's just UCA's number, and they are 22nd best in the country. So two of the top 25 defenses going head-to-head.
And January pulls that one foul. Out of play. January's got some pop from that right side. 4 home runs, ties the team lead with Emma Robertson. January had a stretch there where she hit a home run in 3 straight games. Just a couple of weeks ago. Another 2-2 from Lexi King. Chop to the left side. Gonna have to be quick if you're McDowell. She's not gonna get there. Infield single for Maya January. And UCA got 2 on with 1 out.
It's a tough play for a third baseman. That ball gets a high hop here on the turf. We talked about true hops, but the turf also hops higher. And because of the extra time that it spends in the air, that allows January to get down the line, beating that out for the infield single.
McDowell was playing back just a little bit too. LJ Smith stands in, hits this to the left side. McDowell goes to second for 1, relay to first, not in time. That would have ended this one. But a nice defensive play from Ella McDowell nonetheless in the pivot, and turn from Davis, and was smooth.
And McDowell picks it up, quick throw over to first. It's a good transition, but Ellis just pulled a little bit off of the bag. not able to convert the double play.
So it's going to be all up to Anna Vessier for Central Arkansas if they're going to find a way to come back down to their final out. Lexi King out of the pin, starts the 7th. Look at that stretch. I think Ellis, boy, the throw might have beat her. Her foot might just be barely off the back.
Yeah, the toe on that right foot, you can see there's some space there as that throw pulls her. I do believe a good throw, though, would have gotten her.
Yeah, I agree.
That's also tough because that ball tailing away to the glove side of Ellis, so she's already stretched, and then to pull to the other side, that's a really tough play for a first baseman to make.
Yeah, to keep your foot on as well. Fouled away left side now from Vessier, and UCA's down to their final strike. Peyton Burnham, 6th inning strong for Arkansas. Lexi King out of the pen in the 7th, and she's trying to nail it down. The 1-2, a little bit low. Arkansas's banged out 12 hits tonight. 7-12-0 the line score. 0-4-2 for UCA. Vessier trying to protect. 2-2 popped up, shallow right. Ramsey Walker seals it for Arkansas, and they complete the 7-0 shutout on the road here in Conway.